Party people, what's happening? We've made it to Friday, TGIF edition of the show. Hottest show in the streets, hottest thing you're going to find in the bag here. Talking your Crimson Tide. In my own words, George Trilling, Stephen M. Smith. Touchdown, Alabama Magazine. Happy you guys can check us out on today. We're bringing you the show from the magic city of Birmingham, streaming this to you on YouTube. You know what to do, people. Hit that subscribe button. Smash subscribe right now. Hit that like button. Makes this your show, your network, platform, channel, and space to talk Bama. We got you covered. Turn all of those notifications on. Hit that little bell so that way you miss absolutely nothing on your favorite program, that being Talking the Tide. We also got you covered here on Facebook and Twitter as well, streaming the show. We got a lot to get to, especially in terms of recruiting. Today, five-star Peter Woods, defensive lineman from Thompson High School in Alabaster, will make his decision, will make his commitment. Our own Justin Smith will be on later in the show to talk about that. We appreciate you guys. We want to hear from you guys on the show. You can do this by calling 205-448-1358. Number to call in to let your voice be heard tonight, 205-448-1358. That daily super chat goes $75. Daily super chat go. And our own President Whalen has started the sucker off with the $4.99 in the super chats. And there it goes. Our favorite man dancing, Steven, on screen there. Appreciate that from President Whalen. And Justin Riley with that $4.99 in the super chats as well. Appreciate the love from Whalen and Justin getting us started here on the show. But we open the show up with something really cool. We're going to go to the In My Own Words hotline virtually, where we pick up a good man for your Crimson Tide, a freshman offensive lineman from IMG Academy. The big man with the big hair is in the room. So make way for number 54, Tyler Booker is in the building. T-Book, what's happening, man?
How you doing? I'm great.
Absolutely. We got Tyler Booker in the building, freshman offensive lineman for your Crimson Tide. Join us right here virtually on In My Own Words on a Friday. So, Tyler, you got a really cool opportunity to be a part of the Players Lounge, this NIL partnership here, which was kicked off by former Georgia quarterback Aaron Murray. Just for the Alabama fans out there, can you talk about how this came to be, how you got involved with it? Just how cool is this?
It's a really unique experience. So someone from Connecticut actually put my name in with the Players Lounge and connected me with Aaron Murray, and we just started talking, and then I saw it was a great opportunity, and it's really the new era of sports, really not just NIL, of really being able to create a personal connection with some of your favorite athletes, and for the athletes to make a personal connection with a lot of our biggest fans. And that's been one of my biggest things ever since I picked up some level of notoriety. I always want to be able to build a connection with the people who support me, because I remember being a kid at Walter Camp. I think it was 2009. This is how far back I remember. This is how much of an impact it has on me. I remember seeing Tim Tebow. He was over there playing the Wii, and I couldn't get his autograph, and it sticks to me that day. So I just want to make sure that no kid ever feels the way that I felt that night.
Now having this partnership, Tyler, have you seen the social media jump some? Have you seen the Twitter of a social media grow a little bit since being a part of the partnership?
Oh, definitely, and that's what I really love about this partnership. I'm able to build my brand by attaching myself with an already established brand. So I just can't wait to continue to be a part of it and continue to grow through the Players Lounge and keep growing with them and do new things with them as well.
You're just checking out the show, people. We got Tyler Booker, Alabama freshman offensive lineman, right here virtually on In My Own Words on a Friday. So, Tyler, having a guy like Eric Wolford as your offensive line coach, seeing what he did at Kentucky and a great job he did there, turning that group to be a Joe Moore Award finalist. What has he done since coming in here that has got your attention to understand this guy knows what he's doing? He's going to coach me right. He's going to prepare me to be the next great lineman to come through Alabama. How's that relationship been like, first off, with Coach Wolford?
Me and Coach Wolf has always had a great relationship ever since he offered me back in my junior year, towards the beginning of my junior year. We always had a great relationship. When he was at South Carolina, then he offered me again. We continued to build our relationship while he was at Kentucky. So once he came in and took over as an offensive line coach, I was very excited because I always had a great feeling about him. It's just that places that he was at just weren't up to the standard that I had for myself. So my parents tell me all the time everything happens for a reason and never burn a bridge. So I'm glad I didn't burn that bridge with Coach Wolf because now he's helping me grow so much just as an offensive lineman technically, and he knows how to coach me, and he understands that people process things differently. So he's gonna say and teach and show me a play the way until I understand it. He's gonna tell me in different ways until he sees what hits my brain, and once he know how that hits my brain, he knows what verbiage hits my brain, then he'll continue to teach me like that. He's done that with some of my other teammates, so he's very understanding. You can tell he really cares, and he's out there working just like we are. He's working like he's one of us. So I just love to see that from a coach who's putting in the same amount of work as me, and it's a lot easier to respect somebody who's not gonna ask more of you than they ask of themselves.
Absolutely. And Tyler, I know coming from IMG, you showed a lot of versatility, as a lineman on the field. But at Alabama, where do you see yourself fitting in with this offensive line? Do you see yourself as more of a guard? Do you see yourself as more of a tackle? How do you see yourself fitting into that whole puzzle on the offensive line?
To be completely honest with you, I'm just a ball player. Wherever I fit best on the field, wherever I give my team the best chance to win, that's where I'm willing to play, and that's where I see myself working out, whether that be at guard or tackle, left or right side. I just want to be able to have the ability to play all of those positions because the best ability is availability, But spending my high school years at tackle, getting a lot of reps at tackle, and then at the All-American game, I strategically put myself at guard just so I have a lot of experience playing at guard. So I have a little bit of guard under my belt. So just having that solid basic foundation and now being in the room with Coach Wolf, he's making sure that I learn both positions just so I'm available.
When you decided, Tyler, to enroll early for spring football in Tuscaloosa, what was one of the biggest things you learned coming into spring ball, getting an early jump on the offense, getting an early jump on the terminologies and formations, getting an early jump on classwork? What was one of the first things that you learned immediately upon getting on campus enrolling in spring?
Like you said, I went to IMG Academy, so I've been there since the end of my freshman year, so I've pretty much been in college for 3.5 years prior to me actually enrolling early. So I was used to being on time for things. I was used to going to class, having classes at awkward times that aren't usual to a regular high school schedule. I was used to all that study hall tutoring, being on time for things, being accountable, holding myself accountable. And we even lifted the same at IMG Academy. You had a lot of explosive lifts. So the thing that really took a while for me to get adjusted to is the speed of the game. That everything just moves a lot faster. You just got to be able to go and roll with the punches. And during spring ball, I had to rely a lot on my mental training and just remember, okay, on to the next play, on to the next play. And then even Coach Wolf had to tell me, hey man, you're a freshman. Don't be too hard on yourself. Just taking one play at a time and having the next play mentality.
When you look at and we got Tyler Booker here on the line, if you're just checking us out here, offensive lineman, freshman offensive lineman for your Crimson Tide. And Tyler, when you just look at the team going, of course, winning that national championship. Everybody has it on their mind. But would you have, or do you have, any big personal goals that you want to set year one as you try to show the world, okay, this is who Tyler Booker is? Any personal goals you may have?
My personal goal is just to take it one day at a time. Everything that I do, I feel like. So when I just came in, they had all of the leaderships, everybody on the leadership committee coming to talk to us, and the same thing that everybody said to me was just take everything one day at a time. Win every day. And at the end of every day, I ask myself, did I win today? Did I put myself in a position to be better today than I was yesterday? So taking everything one day at a time, winning every day individually, will set me up for long-term success. And that'll help me reach all the goals that I have set for this year. Because I've always looked at into the future. And something my strength coach, Coach Dillman, told me, he said, be where your feet are. So that taught me to really slow down and take everything one day at a time, take everything day by day. So as I do that, I'm just going to be the best version of myself and do everything that I need to do to put myself in a position to be ready whenever my name is called.
What is it, Tyler, about IMG that just prepares players for the next level, especially Alabama? Because I look at, you coming from IMG, J.C. Latham from IMG, Evan Neal from IMG, Alex Leatherwood from IMG. A lot of guys have rolled through IMG down there in Florida. So what is it about that place? What is it about that program that prepares athletes like yourself to go to D1 schools, particular go to Alabama, and be ready to jump in that fire, to jump in that competition?
It's really just the standard. All Eagles go out of the door as soon as you step foot on campus, just because on the football team, you're surrounded by 4 and 5 stars. That really means nothing to us. What are you going to do on this practice field when you put those pads on? And then even in the classroom, you might be a 5-star, but next to me, I got 5-star Jarris Walker. He goes to Houston right now. And another one of my class, I got Eric Daly. He's one of the best basketball players in the class. I got top tennis players, top golf players in their respective age group. So just being around that much greatness, you have no choice but to elevate, And a saying that said a lot is, you show me your 4 closest friends, I'll show you your future. And at IMG Academy, you have no choice but to be friends with elite people.
He is Tyler Booker, ladies and gentlemen, freshman offensive lineman for your Crimson Tide. Looking forward to seeing, Tyler, what you do on the field. Wishing you an outstanding career, an outstanding season. First and foremost, man, and take care of yourself, brother. Be good. Don't work too hard out there, but be good, my man.
All right, thanks. Have a good one. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Tyler Booker, freshman offensive lineman for your Alabama Crimson Tide. Looking forward to seeing what he does from the field. Enjoy watching him in the spring game. Looked really good there in that spring game with that second team unit there for Alabama. But we take our first break here. People, don't touch that dial, because when we return, we grab your phone calls, your thoughts, your interactions. A conversation with you, the Bama Nation, comes after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up.
9 players have teamed up and released the Alabama Team Paper, which is a video yearbook they put out for sale direct to fans. Now, for the first time, small dollar purchases from the fans can support the players as a group as well as a great cause, because $1 of every subscription payment is donated to the Boys and Girls Club of America. Be a 5-star fan base and support your team and a great cause with Team Paper. Check it out at teampaper.com/Alabama.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
All right, people, we're back into the action from the break on a Friday, TGIF edition of the show, hottest show on the streets here in my own words. Yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Right now, we go to the phone lines to grab your calls. It's the call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in, 205-448-1358. We take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How are you feeling? State your name and where you calling from.
Lordy, it's hot on Friday night. Get down to Emily's and get you a sweet delight. Stephen, I tell you, you're still killing me with that dancing, Stephen. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm laughing 7 days a week. Man, what's popping? Tell me something good.
Well, right now, we're waiting on the move from one Peter Woods, 5-star defensive lineman, in-state player out of Thompson High School in Alabaster. The 4 schools he is deciding from tonight as he is making his commitment. He's deciding on Clemson, Alabama, Florida, and Jackson State. So once we get that commitment, we will have Justin on to talk about this because this one right here is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Pretty interesting. I'm waiting to hear it myself, Justin. He'll lay it all out there just like we need to hear it. He knows what's going on. So anyway, I'm going to get out of here. It's Friday night. Everybody's wanting to call in. Listen, the Blue Wrench Gang, y'all looking good. I see everybody, too many people to say hello to. I'm saying hello to all y'all now. Y'all be safe. Have a good weekend. Hey, y'all make this number one show in the country, number one hottest show on the street, in the streets, on the streets, around behind the dumpster, and in the garbage can. Y'all looking good. I love all y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Be safe this weekend. Bye-bye, everyone.
Appreciate weighing in there, starting us off on a Friday. The president calling in. We take this call here. You're live on the show. What's going on? How are you feeling tonight? State your name and where you calling from.
Stephen Smith, what's going on, man? It's your boy, Senator Hines, a.k.a. Coach Smoot. What's going on, brother?
Man, Senator, I'm trying to see what is Peter Woods' decision. I mean, I know he's picking from Clemson, Florida, Bama, and Jackson State, but what hat is this man going to put on in terms of that commitment? Because this is a in-state talent that is the real deal, and it's just something about me. I just don't like it when the in-state kids get away from being in-state.
Yeah, and you know what, Stephen? Not to say we don't have a chance at them, because I think anytime Alabama's in the mix, we have a chance. You know, unless you grow up Auburn or you're a Georgia fan from this generation. But I'm getting that Clemson, Justin Ross stealing Clemson out of our backyard field with Peter Woods. That because now with NIL, I think there's too much competition for Woods here. But at the same time, and I know they probably pitched it to him. You're an in-state homegrown kid. You know, you're getting more hype than you're getting just as much hype as Julio Jones was getting coming out of high school. Imagine if NIL was around when Julio came out of high school, bro. Like
Right.
that would have been crazy. You get what I'm saying? So, in-state talent. We trying to Tony Mitchell. Did we pick him up?
Yes, Tony Mitchell stayed home. He committed to Alabama.
I mean, you got. I feel like if we do come, I think he looks at that and the transition that's about to happen with Battle and this group of leaders, this group of senior leadership on the defensive side about to transition out. If he does come, he pays attention to that aspect of it, looking at all the young talent that he'll have kind of like an even playing field to compete against, maybe play some spot minutes for his first year on campus and then be impact second year, third year guy, be able to go to the draft because the boy is nasty. But I do have concerns about his ego. But if we don't pick up on him, Steven, I feel like this class has just started off so strong that we'll find some quality as we always do. We don't necessarily have to be a 5-star. We all know that those star ratings only tell half the story. You know, it's very few that are legit 5-stars that come through and they perform to that ability. You think about Blake Barnett, all the hype he had. I only pick at him because he was so hyped up. Everybody just thought he was going to be the one to bring us to Natty. And everybody that you said watch out for, and then I was at home talking about Jalen Hurts was the one that came and took his job. I was so happy to see that, man. But yeah, Peter Woods definitely would be a great add. And like I said, man, I'm getting those Justin Ross Clemson vibes, man. I'm just feeling NIL is really something. And if he goes to Jackson State, I think I'm gonna be happy too, man. I like what Prime is doing down there. You know, we won't have to see Woods. That's a good thing, but definitely would love to have him in that crimson and white, man. But like I said, Stephen, thanks for taking my call, man. I'm happy to be back, man. I've been missing the shows, but got some time and was able to call in, see the family in their Blue Ridge gang. Shout out. Roll Tide, everybody in the chat. TDA fam, I love y'all. John, Justin, everybody, Benny, everybody take care, man. Much love. I'm out.
Appreciate Coach Smook, a.k.a. Senator Hines, chiming in here on a Friday. So here are my thoughts on this. And I'm not a recruiting guru by no means. That's Justin Smith, who you will hear shortly. He knows way more about this than I do. I know enough to form a conversation and present it to you, the fans out there. But here are my thoughts on this. In the event that Peter Woods chooses Clemson, if he does, yes, it stings because it's an in-state kid. All he's ever known was Bama. Huge Bama fan, has had an Alabama offer since 9th grade. And all of the cards and the stars were aligned for Alabama to get him. So it would sting from that aspect. But if Alabama did not get him, Big James Smith is still out there. And that kid's a freak. And if you were to get James Smith, it would cushion the blow. Then you've got Hunter Osborne, an in-state kid, comes from Hewitt-Trussville High School in Trussville, Alabama. You land him, that kid's a baller. That will cushion the blow some. Then you even got Reuben Bain, a defensive lineman out of Miami. Now that one would be a tough get because according to our own Justin Smith, I believe Bain's brother coaches on the Hurricane staff. So that would be kind of tough there. But if you couldn't get Peter Woods, but you could circle back and get a Hunter Osborne and a James Smith, that would kind of cushion the blow there. So I could see where fans would be upset with not getting Peter Woods because, once again, in-state kid, all he knew was Bama. Everything was right there at your disposal to try to snatch him and get him. Bring his commitment in here. But if not, if you can get a James Smith, if you can get a Hunter Osborne, then that would be key as well. But we're going to go to a cool little topic here, and that being the football tickets for your Crimson Tide. Hey, baby, they're on sale. Tickets on sale for your Alabama Crimson Tide. You can get those tickets right now. RollTide.com. They got them for you right now. Now, Peter Woods hasn't committed yet, but once that commitment comes in, we'll let you know. We're going to have Justin Smith coming on here. He'll come on soon when we get to Peter Woods' commitment. But the football tickets are on sale for your Crimson Tide. You go to RollTide.com. Get those tickets. I believe a couple of those games have been sold out. I'm not sure which ones yet, but the tickets are on sale. RollTide.com. You can check those out. But we're going to go to a break right here, folks. When we come back from the break, we're going to actually deviate into this conversation, and that being the teams, the opponents that Alabama will play that you should not overlook. We're going to talk about the 5 opponents you should not overlook here in terms of the Tide. We'll get to that after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full-year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right now, folks, we're back rocking and rolling in here from the break, popping the clutch on the truck here. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith, Touchdown Alabama Magazine on Friday, TGIF edition of the show. And once again, Peter Woods has not committed yet, 5-star defensive lineman from Thompson High School in Alabaster. But when he does commit, and we have that information, we'll get that to you. Our own Justin Smith is at the young man's commitment ceremony or his verbal commitment announcement at Thompson High School. We'll have Justin here on the show soon to give us that breakdown. But while we wait for that, we're going to transition to this topic right here, that being, opponents on Alabama's schedule that you should not overlook, that you should not sleep on, that you should not underestimate for this season. Because we all know the SEC has gotten better. The SEC has gotten stronger. The conference has gotten more competitive. You got all these different coaches in here now. So you can't afford to overlook a team. You can't afford to underestimate or sleep on a team. And for me, there are 5 programs out there on Alabama's schedule. Crimson Tide have got to bring the wood. They've got to bring the pain. They've got to bring the focus. You cannot sleep on these teams. You cannot underestimate these teams. You cannot overlook these teams. And starting this thing off at number 1, I look at Utah State. You cannot sleep on the Aggies of Utah State. And I know people are going, Steve, it's Utah State for crying out loud. This is not Michigan. This is not Penn State. This is not Wisconsin. This is not West Virginia. This is not USC. This is not the normal big-name power schools that Alabama starts the season off with. I get that. But Utah State last year finished at 11-3. They ended the season 11-3. Really good season for the Aggies. They bring back their quarterback, Logan Bonner. He's back. 3,000-plus yard passer a season ago, 36 touchdowns. They've got weapons around him. Got a really good running back there as well. Utah State's got a defense back. They're going to bring different looks to either pressure Bryce Young in the pocket, or they're going to bring different looks offensively to try to offset Pete Golden and the defensive staff there. So you cannot overlook Utah State. Bama's got to come out there head on, ready to go, make a statement early, first game of the season, that this Alabama team's nothing to play with. You got to make a statement first game of the season that loss against Georgia back in January, that ain't going to happen again. We're going to get back there to that championship game and finish the job. And that starts with taking on Utah State, wiping them completely off the map there. Cannot sleep on the Aggies of Utah State. Number 2, I look at Tennessee. Tennessee under Josh Heupel is going to be sneaky good this season. As you can, Tennessee's not doing much talking. They're going to be sneaky good. Hendon Hooker is back. Cedric Tillman, their best receiver. Tillman is back. Got some good guys defensively on that team. You go to Neyland Stadium, to Rocky Top, to Knoxville. Josh Heupel is trying to have something up his sleeve. Keep your eye on Tennessee. Don't sleep on that game. Don't underestimate that game. Don't overlook that game. That matchup up there in Neyland can be very intriguing. Keep your eyes there on the Tennessee Volunteers. That'd be number 2. Number 3 for me, Arkansas. Sam Pittman. I don't know what this man has said. I don't know what magic potion he got going on, but he has changed the culture. He has changed the temperature and the atmosphere in the room. You talk about Pig Nation in Fayetteville, Arkansas. He's changed the whole dynamic here. Hogs finished last year at 9-4. He has this program believing it can win, it can upset teams, it can do some stuff. A.J. Jefferson comes back at quarterback. Now, of course, you don't have Traylon Burks. Arkansas's going to find another big play receiver. but they always have guys on defense that are hungry, but are dogs. They may not be 4 and 5 stars, but Arkansas always has those guys defensively that are ready to head hunt and take your face off your body. Got to be prepared when you take on Arkansas. Cannot overlook, sleep on, underestimate that matchup, as it will be in DWR, Razorback Stadium up there in Fayetteville. So that's number 3. Number 4, LSU. And I feel like the reason why people are slightly overlooking, slightly sleeping on LSU is, brand new coach in Brian Kelly, and how is he going to fare, right? Coming in from Notre Dame, he's had opportunities to win national championships for the Irish. You go back to 2012, you go back to the 2013 title game in the BCS off the 2012 season, and we got Notre Dame there. They got embarrassed by Alabama, 41-14. Then you look at, he's been to the college football playoff with the Irish a few times, got embarrassed there a few times. So now, Brian Kelly's like, I'm going to leave Notre Dame because of all of this rigorous stuff with academics, touchdown Jesus and everything. I'm going to come down to LSU where I'm going to be able to recruit and get the best athletes, 5 stars all across the landscape. Comes to LSU. And not only is he at LSU, but you got transfer quarterback in Jayden Daniels from Arizona State at LSU. He's pretty good. So, that matchup will be in the Bayou this year. Tiger Stadium, Death Valley, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So, new coach, new quarterback, new infused vibe. So, there's a matchup that you cannot overlook, that you cannot sleep on, that you cannot underestimate. Because after winning the national championship in 2019 with Joe Burrow and company, the last 2 years, we have not seen LSU look like LSU. Part of the reason was, Ed Orgeron, he had the 2 coordinators kind of propping him up there with Dave Aranda and Joe Brady. And when those 2 left, you kind of saw Edo for Edo. Good motivator, probably not the best X's and O's guy out there. So now you have a brand new head coach in here in Brian Kelly. We're going to see what this is with the Tigers, but cannot overlook that matchup. So last but not least here, final one, number 5, Mississippi State. Mike Leach is just always intriguing to me. Whether he's talking about Pirates, whether it's actual X's and O's on the table, will the air raid offense ever work in the SEC for real? This year may be a year where we may see that air raid take on some fire here for the Bulldogs. And that game will be in Starkville. If I'm not mistaken, it will not be in Starkville. It'll be back in Tuscaloosa. It'll be in Tuscaloosa this season, but it'll be an interesting matchup. You can never overlook State. You can never underestimate State because they always play hard. They always play physical defensively. But the question is, does this air raid offense under Mike Leach sort of finally take massive root here? And it more than likely will. So those would be my 5 teams, my 5 matchups, my 5 opponents here that you can't overlook for Alabama. I know some of you are going to say, well, Steven, why wasn't Ole Miss thrown in there? Well, Ole Miss, no one's overlooking Ole Miss. No one's overlooking Lane Kiffin. And then no one's overlooking, the Land Shark Rebel. No one's overlooking Ole Miss at all. And then people are wondering, well, Steven, why didn't you throw Auburn in there? Well, with Auburn, you got Zach Calzada at quarterback, Tank Bigsby at running back. But the main thing that Auburn fans want to know is the right coach there? Is Brian Harsin really the right guy? And Auburn fans will figure that out even more so this season. So that's why those 2 teams were not thrown into the pot of conversation in terms of teams to not overlook, not underestimate, not sleep on. But we're going to go to another break right here. When we get back, we return to the phone lines. We grab your calls. We get your thoughts, your conversations. The interaction with you, the Bama Nation, comes once again right after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit WeOwnTheFourthQuarter.com now to get your 4-finger bling necklace.
What's up, Bama Nation? This is Rudy Griffin, former Alabama defensive lineman, and you're listening to my guy, Stephen M. Smith, in my own words, brought to you by Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Roll Tide, roll!
Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99 and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
All right, people, we're back in the action from the break on the hottest show on the streets. Number one form for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. A little bit of an update here. Peter Woods has not committed. We're waiting on his decision as he's making his announcement today at Thompson High School in Alabaster. Our own Justin Smith is there on the scene, and we'll get to Justin soon once Mr. Woods has committed. Now, what's interesting is five-star quarterback Christopher Vezina, who is committed to Clemson, he's actually at Peter Woods' commitment ceremony. So that's interesting there. Clemson five-star quarterback Christopher Vezina at the verbal commitment ceremony for one Peter Woods. But we're back in to get your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. Number to call in to voice your opinion and let your thoughts be heard, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you as you guys are getting your thoughts in right here. Going to go to a quick topic here, and the quick topic goes to none other than the man Mac Jones. And Mac Jones delivered a great rookie season for the New England Patriots. He really did. Set franchise rookie records, passing yards, passing touchdowns, took the Patriots back to the playoffs in a 10-7 record, made the NFL Pro Bowl, and actually helped the AFC defeat the NFC 41-35. This offseason, he's been putting in work, not just building more chemistry with his receiver core, the offensive lines, tight ends, etc., but he has slimmed down, he has dropped weight, and he is building an NFL body, bulking up for his sophomore campaign. Mac Jones knows year two, he's got a lot of high expectations. Bill Belichick, he's earned Coach Belichick's trust. He's earned the trust of everybody in that organization thus far. And then when you have former Heisman Trophy winner Robert Griffin III, RG3, saying that, Jones is most likely the first rookie quarterback from that 2021 class to potentially earn a Super Bowl, that's big expectations there. But one thing about Mac, Mac has always been sort of proving people wrong his whole career, whether it was in high school, whether it was in college, whether it was in the NFL draft process. So, I'm excited for Mac, proud of him, getting himself prepared to dominate in his sophomore season in the NFL here. So here we go. Here's a discussion. Here's a discussion here of why would it be bad for Alabama to not get Peter Woods? It would be bad for a few reasons. I think the main one why it would be bad is, like I mentioned, all the cards were in Alabama's favor, right? And when all the cards are in your favor and you still don't get the player, the athlete you want, that's highly frustrating. when you look at a Peter Woods, born and raised in Alabama, right? According to our own Justin Smith, he grew up a die-hard Alabama fan, huge Alabama fan. Probably been to a ton of games growing up. He's been on campus several times. He's visited the campus several times. Then you look at, his boys, his teammates, from Thompson High School or at the University of Alabama. When you talk Jeremiah Alexander, he's at UA now as a freshman. Traquan Fagans at UA now as a freshman. Tony Mitchell just committed to Bama. So his boys are at Bama, trying to build that pipeline from Thompson to Alabama, University of Alabama. He's right now playing at the IMG Academy version at Alabama. He's playing at the Alabama version of IMG. At Thompson High School, where you're winning consecutive multiple state championships. There's a championship pedigree, and just, all of these things, all of these cards in your favor, and you don't get him, that hurts. I mean, that'll be a reason why it's bad. Number two, why it would be bad to not land Peter Woods is due to it's been a minute since Alabama has had a true difference maker in the defensive line. I know they had Christian Barmore, 2019, 2020, but Barmore was kind of a late bloomer, right? So technically, you haven't had that difference maker on that defensive line up front since Quinnen Williams. Probably the last time you had that. That's been a minute. And yes, Alabama has recruited different guys on the line. When you look at Byron Young, DJ Dale, Justin Aboigbe, Tim Smith, Jamarian Latham, the list goes on. But, it hasn't had that guy since Quinnen Williams, that Christian Barmore, that's just a menace on every single play, on every single snap. He's destroying offensive centers. He's destroying offensive guards. He's disrupting the timing of an offense. He's just giving nightmares to offensive coordinators, and offensive line coaches. He's just giving nightmares to quarterbacks, nightmares to running backs. You haven't seen that type of player on the defensive line since a Quinnen Williams or a Christian Barmore. And Peter Woods strikes as that kind of player. Technically sound, technically gifted, big motor, explosive for first step, can get to wherever that ball is. And, not landing that type of talent, and to not land that type of talent that's in state, that's what makes it bad. Now, I'm not saying if you don't get Peter Woods, if you don't get Peter Woods, it's the end of the world. No. Because, once again, James Smith is still out there on the recruiting trail, defensive lineman. He's a freak athlete. You get him, that cushions the blow. You could still get Hunter Osborne, who's a defensive lineman out of Hewitt-Trussville High School right here in this state. So you can get that in-state prospect. There's still Ruben Bain out there from Miami. Alabama in position for him. Could get him. So there's still options out there. It's just Peter Woods would give you the in-state guy that's also a tremendous talent who grew up a die-hard Alabama fan. And when you have all of these, and when a player has all of these ties to you, to your program, and you don't get that guy, then you're left with, okay, what happened? Who dropped the ball? Who's to blame? Who's the scapegoat? Who did not reel it in? Who did not close the deal? And we don't see the statement, the phrase, Nick Saban, Alabama, and did not close the deal in the same sentence. Rarely do you see that. But if Peter Woods chooses Clemson, once again, yes, not committed yet, but if he chooses Clemson, this will be probably the first time in a big way where Alabama did not close the deal on a player that they looked at as a priority. But we're going to go to a break here, folks. We'll touch that down. When we return, we will have our own Justin Smith, lead scouting and recruiting analyst, on the phone lines to break down this recruiting for 2023 and to get that update here on one Peter Woods. We get to Justin right after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
Look at all these great players in Touchdown Alabama magazine. Man, wait till I turn up this year. I'm gonna be on the front cover. But what if Will goes off? Or Joe, DeMarco, Chris, Tim, Christian.
Don't wait. Order now at touchdownalabama.com or call 833-483-2624 today.
Christian or Jameer.
We're back in, folks, to the action from the break on the hottest show on the streets, number one form for your Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Well, folks, the news is in. Peter Woods made his decision, five-star defensive lineman out of Thompson High School in Alabama. He has chosen Clemson as his verbal commitment. Dabo Swinney came in there and got Peter Woods. So the young man who has had an Alabama offer since the 9th grade has taken the Clemson Tigers. And with that being said, we go to the In My Own Words hotline where we pick up the man, the legend, the hardest working guy in the recruiting game. Nobody does this quite like Justin Smith, who's been clocking this from day one. He is live at Thompson High School at the commitment ceremony for one Peter Woods. Justin, man, what's going on? How we feeling?
I'm good, Steven.
We got Justin Smith, lead scout and recruiting analyst extraordinaire on the line. If you're just checking out the show here on a Friday, so Justin, to me, was this Alabama not pushing hard enough, or was it a situation where Clemson just went all in on all we want is Peter Woods, and we're going to go get our guy?
Yeah, I think it was exactly that. I think Clemson just beat Alabama. I think that's simple, plain and simple. When you just take a look at it, Alabama recruited Peter Woods hard, got him on campus several times. He knew he was a priority. That's what he's been telling me every time I interviewed him, that I know I'm a priority at Alabama. Grew up an Alabama fan, had a great relationship with their coaching staff, but he also had a good relationship with Clemson's coaching staff, and they went all in on Peter Woods. And I think his official visit in June, I think that pretty much closed the deal for the Tigers. I'm going back to when here at Trussville High School took on Thompson High School. When I was in attendance, it looks as if the entire Clemson defensive staff was at that particular game. Peter Woods was wearing Clemson gloves that night as well. So from that point on, I knew the only team that could possibly pose a threat to Alabama to possibly hold on to Peter Woods would be the Clemson Tigers. And Clemson has recruited the state of Alabama really well over the last three recruiting cycles with Dabo Swinney as their head coach. They have snagged a commitment from five-star quarterback Christopher Vazina in this 2023 recruiting class. They are sitting in a good position with Hunter Osborne, another top defensive lineman who the Crimson Tide are going after. So the Clemson Tigers, in my opinion, just beat out Alabama plain and simple for one of the nation's top defensive line prospects. And this is a huge miss for Alabama, just based on the talent that Peter Woods possesses. Something that you said, I'm pretty sure on your show a couple of times, the defensive line position is a priority for Alabama, and the connections. There's so many connections. He even said it way before he committed. His dad went to the University of Alabama. His coach went to the University of Alabama. He has 2 former teammates who will be freshmen for the Crimson Tide. His teammate currently now is verbally committed to Alabama. So it is really interesting going to one of the more shocking ones. I wouldn't say shocking today because Clemson looked as if they was gaining momentum heading into his decision. But if you said that Clemson was going to get him, I think a few months ago, many people would think you were probably crazy.
So Justin, with this happening, where does Alabama go from here? I know you recently just dropped the video on that. And if y'all haven't checked out Justin's video on the TDA YouTube channel, please get to that right now as he talks about where does Alabama go from here. So in your opinion, Justin, with missing out on Woods, what is the next move for Alabama on the defensive line?
Well, specifically inside the state, they still have an opportunity to get another 5-star defensive lineman in James Smith, but that is going to be another dogfight. He has a top 11 at the moment. His recruitment is pretty open, taking things pretty slowly. So I'm pretty sure they're going to recruit him pretty hard, but there's going to be a dogfight between teams like Georgia, Texas A&M. I think Miami is involved in this recruitment at the moment. So we'll see how things play out. He still has a very long way to go, along with some other in-state prospects like Hunter Osborne. So Clemson is in a really good spot with him as well. The Tide may need to try to get him on campus before he announced a decision. I think late August and early September, he told me that he wants to be committed before the second game of Rick Trustfield's football season. So that is a recruitment to pay attention to. Could be another Clemson and Alabama battle, along with Kelby Collins, the 4-star defensive end out of Gardendale High School in Gardendale, Alabama. He did take an unofficial visit to Alabama during the summer, but he did not take an official visit. He took an official visit to Florida, I believe, also took an official visit to South Carolina. The Gators and the Gamecocks look to be trending in his recruitment, specifically the Gators, because he's headed back to Florida at the end of this month. So we'll see what happens with Kelby Collins and Hunter Osborne, but that is who the Crimson Tide are going to go after in terms of in-state prospects, with the state being so deep, but the Tide will also go after some out-of-state recruits as well. We have 5-star defensive lineman David Hicks out of Texas. You have another 4-star defensive lineman Edric Hill, 4-star defensive lineman also Ruben Bain out of Miami. So the Tide is definitely not done recruiting defensive linemen, but this is a significant miss for the Crimson Tide. One of the biggest misses I've seen them do in terms of them having so many advantages, so many things working in their favor since I've been covering them on the recruiting trail.
You're just checking out the show. We got Justin Smith, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, on right here talking about this 2023 class and Peter Woods, 5-star defensive lineman, taking Clemson over Alabama, Florida, and Jackson State. But, Justin, now going to something that happened earlier today. Elliott Washington, 4-star defensive back who had been committed to the Crimson Tide, flipped to Penn State. And, this came as kind of a shock or a bit of a surprise to me, but kind of talk about how that came about. Was Washington a priority for Alabama? Is Alabama basically looking at other defensive backs on the board? Like, what happened there with Washington?
The Crimson Tide really liked it. Washington, he's a talented defensive back, speed, good size, physical defensive back, probably safe that next level. The Tide really liked him. They would have loved to hold on to him, but his recruitment was still fluid when he verbally committed. When he committed, I think it was expected that he would take visits. That's what you do. Even though you are committed, Jaleel Hurley did the same thing. You expect recruits to still take visits. He seemed a little bothered by that. He released a message on Twitter basically saying he's going to continue to take visits, which is what many people expected, but he said he was still verbally committed to Alabama, so people took that, I guess, as face value, say he's still verbally committed, but he was still taking visits. He took visits to Michigan State. Many felt that the Spartans were going to pull Elliott Washington from the Crimson Tide, but it ended up being the Penn State Nittany Lions. So it's not a huge surprise, Elliott Washington flipping his commitment to Tide. Still have plenty of options at the defensive back group. They would have loved to have him, but I don't feel he's a huge miss and a huge it's not going to impact their recruiting class in a big way that he's not verbally committed to them. But they would have loved to have him if he wanted to stay on board.
Now, as we look now to offense here, Justin, we have Alabama with a big day coming up here on Monday as Dylan Lonergan, four-star quarterback from Georgia, will make his commitment decision. I know Alabama's involved in there, South Carolina's involved in there, along with a few other teams. Where do you see Larnagin heading? Could this be a year where Alabama lands two quarterbacks in the same class? The last time that happened was 2019 with Paul Tyson and Taulia Tagovailoa. Also 2017 where it was Tua Tagovailoa and Mac Jones. But where do you see Dylan Larnagin heading?
Yeah, I think the Crimson Tide are in a really good position with Larnagin. I think they are in a very solid position heading into his commitment announcement. They actually moved it up to Monday the 11th, I believe. So we'll see what happens. Going back to his official visit to the University of Alabama in June, he told me that he felt really comfortable after that visit. He felt the Tide showed him everything that he needed to see. Although they had verbal commitment for Eli Holstein at the time, he said that would not factor into his decision. He was still going to look at Alabama the same way and still look at that as a potential opportunity. So we may see the Crimson Tide land two quarterbacks, going back to their push for Arch Manning. That is why they pushed for Arch Manning. I think they were open to the ability to bring in two quarterbacks. They're still open to that idea, and Dylan Larnagin could be the Tide's next committed four-star quarterback out of Georgia.
He is Justin Smith, ladies and gentlemen, the lead scouting and recruiting analyst for Touchdown Alabama Magazine, bringing us the goods here on five-star defensive lineman Peter Woods, who chose Clemson in his commitment ceremony on today, and also bringing us other news down the pipeline as well. Justin, as always, we appreciate you, man. Take care of yourself. Be good.
You do the same.
Always outstanding and fun talking with Justin. Peter Woods making his decision, but hey, Bama with still guys on the board on the defensive line that they can close, get commitments from, get those guys on the campus and develop those guys most importantly. But as always, people, you want the best in news, notes, information, and coverage here on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama Magazine app. Now, you download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. Now, for your audio needs, check us out, iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, Overcast.fm, TuneIn Radio, or iHeartRadio. We got you covered. Be sure, Tide fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. Also, if you're trying to get the fresh edition, print edition of TDA the magazine, you go to touchdownalabama.com, you click join, become a member or a subscriber today. That link in the description. If you're trying to get your hands on the four-finger bling necklace, four-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at weownthefourthquarter.com, that's weownthefourthquarter.com, that link in the description as well. Appreciate my man Tyler Booker, Alabama freshman offensive lineman, coming on the show, showing us love here, wishing him an outstanding freshman season for your Crimson Tide. Got to appreciate my man Justin Smith coming on here, giving us the latest on Peter Woods and his commitment decision and all things 2023 recruiting for Bama. Appreciate you, the outstanding fans of Tide football, and the love that you show for donations, the phone calls, the interactions. And my man John Iver in the production studio doing what he does best, which is trying to keep my knuckleheaded self in line, which he tries to do that. I got to give him credit for that. But until next time, folks, husbands love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children, you guys continue doing the right thing, smart thing, fun thing, good thing, legitimate thing to not be bored and stay cool out there. Continue to get those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself, you protect the loved ones around you. Enjoy your weekend, folks. I'm your man, Stephen M. Smith, and you've been listening to In My Own Words.